Now that you're familiar with navigating within the viewport, it's time to actually interact with some objects. So the first thing you need to know is how to select things. Very simple, just left clicking on things. So at the moment the cube is selected, you can tell because it's got this orange outline around it. If I click over here, I can select the camera item, and up here I can select the light. You can see what's currently selected up here within the outliner if you're ever unsure. So if I click back here, I can select the cube. If I just click or click and drag anywhere else within the viewport in empty space, you can see nothing is selected anymore. If I would like to select all of the items within my scene, I can simply hit the A key on the keyboard and that will select everything. Holding down Alt and hitting A will deselect everything. And obviously you can also select items up here within the outliner as well. So just clicking on each of the items will allow you to select it. So now we know how to select something, it's time to do something with it and start moving it around. You can see over on the left of the screen here we have a number of tool icons. If you can't see those, simply hit the T key on your keyboard and that will show and hide that toolbar over on the left here. The currently selected icon is for selection, and it's actually the box select. If you click and hold here, you can see there are a number of different options for selection types. So for now we'll just keep with the selection box. This second icon is for the 3D cursor, which you can see in the middle of the screen here, and we will talk about that a little bit more in detail later on. For now, we're going to look at these icons just here. We've got the move, rotate and scale icons. So if we hit on the move icon, you can see this gizmo appears. You can see if I click and hold on one of these arrows, I can move the object and it will be constrained to that one particular axis. So at the moment I'm moving on Y. If I click on the blue arrow, I'm constrained to move on Z, and holding on the red arrow, I'm now constrained to X. So that allows you to quite precisely move something around within 3D space without even navigating within the viewport. You can also click and hold on this central circle and that will allow you to freely move the object around within the 3D view. You can see here that we have these little squares that will actually constrain to two axes. So if I click and hold here, you can see by the lines that appear on the viewport that we are now constrained to move in the Y and the Z axis. We're not moving in X at all. But equally I can click here and I can now move along this one plane on the Y and the X axes. Now, having moved your object around in the scene, we can actually view its location over here in the property panel. So this is another way of interacting with your object and moving it around. If I click and drag on one of these numbers, you can see I'm actually moving it around within space. I can actually type a value in here as well, which will reset its position. If I hit 0 on all of these, it will go back to what we call the origin of the scene, which is where the axes in the scene converge when currently new objects are created. If I now relocate this object again a little bit, what we can also do, if I hover over these values here and hit the backspace key, that will reset all of those values back to 0 and obviously return our object back to the origin of the scene, this central point within our scene. So that's how we move an object. If I go over here to the toolbar, we can click on the rotate tool and we have a similar gizmo appear. So again, we have three colored axes. If I click and hold on one of the axes, I am again constraining my rotation to just that one axis. At any point, you can hit Ctrl Z to undo a particular action, and that will return everything back to where it was. Now, if I click within this white circle, but not on one of the three axes, you can see I can actually tumble this object around. It's less precise, but allows you to move on multiple axes all at once. Now, finally, if we have a look at the scale tool, you can see that again we've got the three axes, but in this case we've got a little box at the end of them rather than the arrows that we had on the move tool. So again, obviously, click and hold on one of these. It will constrain the scale effect to just that one axis. But if we click and hold somewhere else within this circle, we can scale on all axes at once. And again, undo that. Remember, again, over here, we can see our location, our rotation, and our scale. And if we want to reset these values, we can roll over here and just hit the backspace key on our keyboard to reset those values. If you want to leave either move, rotate, or scale mode and return just to selection mode, simply click up here on this icon and that will return you back to selecting and the gizmos will disappear.